Hi friends, I just wanted to check in and give you guys this isn't our real tutorial yet because I'm not done, but I just kind of wanted to show you some of the progress and the process and talk to you a little bit about some of the materials so you guys can gather them before I complete that video. A few of you have been asking about the eye beads, and some of you have responded already. I shared a few links to some 2mm eye beads, and also to the, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the glass glitter. So I thought first, let's take a look at the mushrooms first, even though I have all the mice on here. So I wanted to show you a couple of options here for decorating the mushrooms. So on this one, I've done them in a variety of reds. This one here is like a sort of a heathered red. This is what Felix's jacket is made out of, and that's called barn red. This one's called crimson. And then this is antique white, and this is linen white. The antique white is a little bit grayer, and the linen white is a little bit warmer. This is warm gray that I've used for the stem here. So this on top of these mushrooms, you can see is what I've done is a combination of, to create the white, a combination of white acrylic paint mixed with the tacky glue, and I paint on circles, and then I dip the wet circles into a dish of glass glitter. So that's how those guys are created. And then I've done a variety of different things on the ends of the stems. So this one I did chain stitch around the bottom of the stem. So if you like to embroider, you might want to try that. It's a little bit slow, but I think it's a really nice effect. This is more glass glitter, a gold glass glitter, and same thing, I just painted the bottom of the mushroom in the tacky glue and dipped that into the glass glitter. Another option is if you have any nice this is reindeer moss that I've got. So this is this. And it comes in different colors, or you might even have some moss growing on your trees. We have a lot of that around here near the ocean. So that's another option for the bottoms, or you could just leave them plain. And that's an option too. So I just wanted to show you those things because some of these things are, I won't go over every single option in the final video. But I wanted to sort of show you lots of different ways that you can embellish them. Another thing that's cute too is a tiny little, like a teeny tiny little pine cone here. You could put, other little, woodland bits, twigs, and things that might be cute at the bottom of the mushroom, like you just pulled them from the ground. Okay, so what else is going on in the mushrooms? So, oh yeah, here's another one. So this is a totally different colorway. I thought I would do kind of a bright thing, and this one is embroidered. So I did a satin stitch circles and little French knots all over the top of this guy, and obviously he's in some sort of more, springy, festive colors. I have also cut out little circles and stitched them, which is what's in that original photograph. I no longer have that. Somebody else has that. So I can't show you a sample of that right now, but you can also cut little round white circles or whatever color circles you want and stitch those to the top of your mushroom before you assemble it. So, okay. So now here's where I am today. I just did a slightly different color palette here. This is my marble color in my color card, which I think is really nice, warm gray, and this again is the barn red. So those are just a few little mushroom options for you. Oh, the other thing is too, these ones I had made into ornaments that can be hung up, and this is just that candy cane color and kitchen twine, but that comes in lots of different colors. Another thing you can do too is if you want to stitch on a just like, hold on a second, let me grab one of these little guys, like a little jump ring, then you can replace the tie here because sometimes they get messed up at Christmas. Okay, so let's look at our eye beads. So these guys are both 3mm eye beads. These are the same ones that I listed, except they're just a little bit larger. And what I've been finding when I'm doing their eyes is that I really want to sink them in, and I have to make a pretty massive hole to get the back of the eye to go in. And I think I would like these to be just a tiny bit smaller. So I found a source for them for you guys that is 2mm. So, so go ahead and check that out in my last post. Okay, so those are the eye beads. Oh, and that's the other thing too. Let me show you this. So the eye beads, these guys are really fun because they're different than your regular seed beads. I don't know if you can see this. Here, let me see if I can show you. Oh, here, let me get into focus again. All right, so you can see here that this hole is a little off center. And so when we put these on into the head, we can bury that hole. Ooh, so hard to see, so tiny. We can bury that hole so that you just see the eye instead of you know, like a standard seed bead that has a hole in the center. So, okay, so that's our eye options here. And then let's see, let's get those out of our way. So then the other thing I wanted to show you is my original guy here. So this was, I made a couple of these when I made that first one with the mushroom. So this guy's needle felted. And basically you're creating a wire armature, and you're wrapping the fibers around the armature and, you know, needling in to lock the fibers together and hold them. So that's how that guy was made. But I wanted to adapt it so that it could be a sewn pattern or sewn and glued, because I knew that not all of you guys had much experience with needle felting. Okay, so so this was what I came up with, right? So this is the guy I posted the other day, and this is a single strand of yarn that's sort of a candy cane kind of colorway, and his body has the wire armature, but everything in this guy is glued on. All of the fiber in his body, all of the felt in his body is glued, and that'll be kind of a fun technique, but I'll show you a little bit about that today. And then the head is stitched like our normal, like the normal heads in my other kits and patterns. So so this, for example, is his head pattern, and so this is his nose. This is his neck, and this is the little dart that forms the shape of the back of his head. But then his body, we start with making a wire armature. So first you'll get something like this, and you're going to bend your wire to match this form, and I'll do a tutorial on that. And then you're actually going to wax your wire. Oh yeah, and your wire is this is a 24 gauge craft wire or beading wire. The brand that I have here is Bead Landing, and this is sold at most craft stores, this brand. Anyhow, so 24 gauge wire. This is just a little tea light, little beeswax tea light that I'm using to wax my wire. So the reason I'm doing that is because I want my thread to stick a little bit to the wire. My first samples that I made recently for this, I'll show you that, I did with pipe cleaner, and I just couldn't get him small enough, even when I trimmed the pipe cleaner all the way down to the metal. So I didn't feel like I could get him as small as I wanted. So you can totally do these guys with pipe cleaner, but you just can't make them quite this tiny. So this is the difference between the size that you can really achieve. So so anyhow, so I went down to my my beading wire, and so the thing that's great about pipe cleaner and wrapping the pipe cleaner is that because of the cotton, the thread sticks to it and it doesn't slide. But to wrap smooth wire like this, you need to figure out how to make either the thread tacky or the wire tacky. And I experimented with both. I waxed my thread and it still slid on the wire. But then what I did to make that ended up being the best solution was to run the wire through my candle like this. So you just run it through a couple of times and get the wire coated with wax. And then when I wrap my thread around it, it wants to stick to that surface. So let's see if we can get a little piece of thread, and I'll just show you that. All right, so here I'm going to do a little sample of the way this wiring works. Not the whole thing right now, but just a sample. So what we want to do is, so these are, I really love these little flat pliers. These are nice for bending. You can use any pliers really, but these guys I like a lot. So what we're going to be doing is wrapping the wire. So what we want to do first is create a bend, and those bends are going to be like the toes and the hands. And then with our thread, our waxed wire, and then our thread, we do a tail like this, and then we're going to wrap back over our thread. So let's see if we can get this right up to the camera. Okay, so we've got this tail, and you can see our little bend. And then I'm just going to pinch right on that bend and start wrapping just before the bend. So I'm going to take this and wrap, wrap, wrap. And then this is just, the wire now is lightly tacky because of that wax. And so I can wrap over my bend, and then I can take my little pliers and refold like that. And then I'm going to take, let's refocus again. See if we can, let's get in the right spot. Can we see that? There we go. Okay. All right, so then we're going to continue wrapping around. So we wanted to wrap that fold in the wire, and then we bend it and we wrap both wires together. And so what you want to try to do is lay the threads right next to each other so they butt up, not so that they sort of make a lumpy, not so that they're all overlapping each other. And as you're twisting, I'm using 2 threads here. Sometimes I use 3. Both work fine. A single thread is just going to take you longer. Ooh, I'm almost off camera. So you're going to wrap around and you kind of smooth out your thread, and try to make the threads sit next to each other. And so this is the process that you're going to do to wrap the arms and legs. So that just kind of gives you a little beginning part. And then you really, like, as you get to the end of an arm, you don't even have to knot it off. What you can do as you get to sort of this juncture right here is you would just put the thread between the wires, and then you move down to the next place that your bend is going to be. And this becomes your little tail. So this becomes that tail that you wrap over. So you can try this little armature thing with all sorts of sizes. So there's that. Then we find our bend. We get our little bend again. And then wrap both wires together. Sorry about the focus on this. I'm going to work on that for our real video. So I'll have to figure that out. This thing is so tiny that it's a little hard to find the focus on it. All right. So that's basically our process. Let's see if we can try that one more time. See if we can get it in focus. Tricky business. Okay, well, I'm gonna work on that. All right, so that's basically our process for wrapping our wire. Okay, so I'll set that aside. So let's just take a quick look here. Okay, so here's the next thing. This is this is what we want to do. I've got a little pattern that I've started for the gluing process. So we're going to take little squares and rectangles of our felt, and we're going to feather the edges like we've done before, where we go along the edge of our felt and just soften up the fibers of the cut edge. And what this is going to do is when we wrap this around the legs and arms, we won't get a sharp cut end. So let's see if I can show you some examples. So I was making these bigger ones, and so these, so see here how these almost look like pants, and that's because I didn't, well, so I don't know how to explain that. Let's see if we can. So let's look at this one. Okay, so these look almost like pants. So that's wrapped around, and then I feathered these edges afterwards. And I stitched them. So this is like a little rectangle, and I stitched it, and then I feathered this edge. But I felt like that looked more like trousers. And so with feathering the edge and gluing them, you can get this nice tapered edge that goes down to the ankle. And so this process is a little bit more like doing spun cotton ornaments, those sort of antique German spun cotton ornaments. So this is similar to that process. So let me just show you that. And I apologize for my kind of disorganization this morning. I just am doing this completely off the cuff. I just kind of sat down at my desk and thought I would kind of check in and kind of show you the beginning of this, just so that if you guys wanted to make sure you had a candle ready, a little tea light. I think it probably would work with any kind of wax, but I just happen to have these beeswax ones, and wire and a few other things that I'll show you too. So then we glue one side of this and kind of bring it out onto the feathering, and then we can move the little, so these are the two legs. So we would take this piece and lay it on the leg and fold it over. And sometimes I even kind of do this thing just to make sure that that glue is nice and tight on the leg. And then we go ahead and wrap this around. And what you get with this is this nice tapered leg. See that? Let's do it against the white here. So instead of this edge right here being kind of blunt, a blunt ending, it tapers into the ankle of this little guy. So that's what we're going to do for the legs and the arms. And then, now these aren't the right pieces, but I'm just going to kind of show you the next thing that I did after I had the four arms and legs done. So then I took a piece this way, and I did, and I wrapped it and glued it. So I glued the whole piece of felt like that, and I made sort of a center part of the body. Remember, all the legs would be done at the point when I'm putting this on. And then I started doing pieces where I wrapped this way, wrapped and glued like that. And then I had another piece that wraps over the shoulders, and I just built up this body that was glued, and until I was happy with the shape, which is just a little bit bigger than this. This one still needs one to go under here because I can see this edge is a little too blunt for me. So I probably would have another one that was all feathered all around the edges that wrapped under the legs and went up to finish this. Another quick thing on this one is that when you finish the gluing process on this, it's kind of great to bend him into the position that you want him in, finally. He's not going to be quite as movable as if we had needle felted him because there's no glue stiffening the body. But at this point, I can still bend this, but it's, there is sort of, the glue is fighting against you. So So when I finished gluing the bodies, I sort of bent them into position and then I made the heads. Or I did it shortly after the head. But you have to do it while there's still some moisture in the glue to have the most ease in getting them into position. So now another way that I did it, and this one is a good example of that, is this one, the arms and the legs are done like I just described, but then the body I stuffed. So I made a piece like this that goes between the legs, and then I stitched up the sides, and then this piece I cut. So I just was like, okay, how big does this need to be? Let's say like here and here. And then I decided to do like, you know, a raglan sleeve, like a sweatshirt. I thought this would work. So I did that. And then stitched up the sides and pinched it under the arm, pinched it here, and did a little tacking stitch around the arm. So, and then you just stuff the body like we stuff like our foxes and the other animals. So that's another option to do too. But I just kind of wanted to show you some of these fun things just so that you have an idea of what's coming up. Okay, so, right, so what's next? What else do I have to show you? Okay. The thread color, if anybody is interested, that I used for wrapping the pipe cleaner, this one I felt like was a little too pink, and this one I liked the color of. I felt like it looked more like, you know, kind of pink little mouse toes. So this is number 3864 in the DMC floss. So that's what I used to wrap the armature. And the other thing, I feel like, and we did this on the seal, is just like a little bit of makeup on the face. And so this is the makeup box that I used on the face. It's this nudes, and I used this sort of kind of smoky brown color and this little pink color here. And I think I might have even used a bit of this one. All these sparkly ones I don't really do much with. So if you can find these in singles, then you don't, you know, you don't have to get all those sparkles. All right, so that's totally random, and it's not terribly organized, but it's just kind of an intro to what we're working on next. And I'm excited to get that made up for you guys. All right, take care, and thanks for watching. I'll talk soon. Bye.